Be sure to hit the subscribe button and make sure that you're staying abreast of everything on our channel, and be sure to turn on your notifications so that you know when we post new videos.
Welcome, everybody. It is Dr. Angela Cudger, the founder of Legacy Holistic Health Institute. I am a metaphysician, holistic lifestyle expert, and the owner of this channel. So thank you for tuning in. Today's video is going to be all about my 10-day apple fast. If you've never heard of an apple fast, if you've never thought about fasting in this way, or apple feast, as I would like to also call it, then we're going to dive into some critical things to know before you actually start this fast. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background in just a moment. But the first thing I want to say is, if you are returning to this channel, welcome back. I hope that you are enjoying this content for October. And if you're new to this, thank you for your subscribes. Thank you for all of your support on this channel. If you know of someone who needs this information, be sure to share this content out. Give me a thumbs up and let me know in the comments about the different things that are going on with you and why you might think you need an apple fast. Now, for those of you who are new to this channel, welcome into the conscious community. We love having new faces and new people here. And so I like to make sure that in everything I'm building community, and I like to make sure that I'm giving you content that you can actually walk away from the video and use. All right. So let's jump into our apple fast. All right. So one of the reasons why I went on an apple fast was to balance hormones. And I'm going to do a different video about hormonal balance and how hormonal imbalances show up, and some critical ways you can tell that your hormones are imbalanced. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a different video. But mine essentially was to not necessarily just help with hormonal imbalance, but to assist with shrinking and ridding my body of fibrous fibroids. Okay. And so I had a recent diagnosis of uterine fibroids. And so one of them is actually the size of a plum, which is a pretty decent size. And then another one is kind of the size of like a globe grape, right? And so the goal was to look at making sure that I turn my diet around to get these things to shrink. Now, I'm one of those people that predominantly eats healthy or that eats well, but this will also let you know that if you're into processed foods, if you're into dining out, restaurants, you're probably running into a lot of additives and things in your food. If you're not picking, eating, or the majority of the things in your vicinity or are raw and you can pick them up and actually eat them, then you've probably got some things in your midst that are going to eventually throw your body off. And so I spoke to a an alternative, or a person that does Chinese herbal medicine after I spoke with my gynecologist, because I like to have a team of wellness people around me. And so I spoke with my gynecologist and she suggested a fast. And then I also spoke with an alternative Chinese medicine doctor who also said the same thing. But the person who specialized in Chinese medicine was absolutely on point with the kind of fast. And I said, okay, I know I could do this with herbs. I know I could turn these around. Not that big of a deal. Let's just go on the journey. Okay. And so one thing about me, I'm not always spending a lot of time on what's to blame or who's to blame. My goal is to get a solution in place first. Now I'll deal with the cause of it much later. Okay. But the goal is to get a solution in place as soon as humanly possible. And so for me, the day that I got this diagnosis, I said, okay, from this day forward, you are vegan and you're going to start being a raw vegan first. Now, some people can't flip up like that, switch up like that. I was pescatarian, so I was still eating things like salmon, wild caught white fishes, tuna steaks, things like that. But now going forward, and every now and then I did eggs, but now going forward, I won't even do trace amounts of animal products at all. My goal is to remain vegan indefinitely. And then in the summer months, go raw vegan. I find it challenging to do raw vegan in the wintertime because I get so cold. And it's one of the reasons why I could not stay vegan. The winter months were so tough for me, but I think that I got a grip on it now, and I found ways to dehydrate things. I found ways to make sure that I have more than enough food and I'm eating properly, and it's still kind of in its raw state. Right. And then when I really get into trouble, then I do some roasting. I do some things that I really, really need. And then as much as I possibly can in the summertime, I will eat raw fruits and vegetables only. So Chinese herbal person said, hey, you can start herbs. You can start drinking things like raspberry leaf tea. If you don't know about raspberry leaf tea, definitely have every female needs that in their arsenal, because that alone will start to get your hormones back on track. And then the other things that I have to do with sea moss and sea minerals and things like that. Vitamin D is a huge proponent for helping you have hormonal balance. Vitamins A, D, E, and K are all important for hormonal balance. And so one of the things that she told me to do was, she said, you need to go on an apple fast. And I was like, an apple fast? I don't know about this. What is this about? What you mean? Like eat like a horse? Eat like apples all day? Right? And so she said, yes, she said, I guarantee you it's the quickest and fastest way to balance your gut and the microbiome of your gut, so that when you do take in herbs, when you do take in supplements, that they actually work. Because in this case, you're trying to shrink something. So you need every bit of what you're taking to actually work. Okay. And then, of course, yoni steaming and things like that, energy balance, emotional healing. And we'll get into some of those things as well, because those things are one of the things that one of the main ways besides diet to shrink fibroids is emotional healing. Right. And so this is when, after you begin to start to turn it around, you get deep into the actual cause of it. And it's almost always something on the plate and something in our energetic sphere that is causing us some kind of issues emotionally as well. Emotional imbalance can also lead to hormonal imbalance, but I'll save that for another video another day. So 10-day apple fast. What did I notice immediately? First thing I did was ordered like 10 bags of organic apples. Now, according to this, the apple fast, you can eat whatever kinds of apples you want, as long as they're organic. So Gala, Pink Lady, green, Granny Smith apples, right? Whatever kind of apple you can think of and that is available to you, you can actually eat those apples. You are eating. Now remember, an apple only has anywhere from 75 organic apples. I'm not talking about the non-organic ones that are massive. I'm talking about the organic apples that are just kind of the size of the palm of your hand. They're relatively small. And so these usually have anywhere from about 75 to 120 calories each. So you can imagine, if you're someone who's even on a 1,500 calorie diet, how many apples you'll need in a day. Well, there's no way I'm going to eat 15. If I'm taking in 1,500 calories, there's no way I'm eating 15 apples a day on average, right? Or 15 to 20 apples a day. And so I was like, She was like, don't think too much about it. If you get hungry, eat an apple, right? It's a fast. So really, you're not trying to starve yourself. It's a fast where you can eat the apples and drink the red raspberry leaf tea twice a day. Green tea also helps to obliterate cancers, growths, tumors, fibroids, anything like that. Green tea helps to obliterate it. So and you can get up to 3 cups of green tea in a day without it having an issue. And I use gunpowder green tea. And I can do a YouTube if you guys want me to show you my apothecary with green tea and the herbs and things that I use for this particular instance. I can actually do that for you guys as well. Just hit me in the comments and let me know. So when we're talking about this, she said, I can eat whatever apple I wanted to. If I get hungry, just eat an apple. If I get even hungrier, eat 2 together, right? Mix it up. You can make apple sauce. You can make apple juice, as long as it is apples. Now, one of the things that I used was tahine, Tajin, and it's like a spice. It tastes more like lemons, right, or lime. And I used that sparingly, but it at least brought out some more of the flavor in the apple and gave mine a little bit of a mix up. On average, I probably ate about 8 to 9 apples per day. So all day long, I was walking around chewing and eating apples. And so let's talk about the things that I noticed. Within the first And I was having like breakthrough bleeding, clots. That's the reason why I went to the doctor in the first place, right? Within about 24 hours of that cleanse, all of the bleeding stopped. And since my cycle got back on track within the past maybe 15 to 15 to 20 days, there's been no breakthrough bleeding and no spotting. So within 24 hours, the symptoms subsided after being on this apple fast for 24 hours. And everybody's different, right? So you should definitely be consulting your doctor. You should definitely be looking at alternative therapies as well. Now, so within the first 24 hours, the symptoms started to subside immediately. After that 24 hours, the next thing that I noticed was in the next couple of days, I would get up, and normally some people have this film, we have this film like on our teeth. There's an indicator that lets us know you need to brush your teeth. Okay. You need to brush your teeth, right? And so I've been vegan in the past before. So I know that goes away when you go to veganism. I just forgot how it goes away. And so you could literally not brush your teeth. I'm not saying not brush your teeth, but my morning breath went away within like a week. And then my teeth felt slick in the morning. So it was like the peels of the apple were actually, when I'm chewing it, were rubbing against my teeth and cleaning in between my teeth. Go figure. So those were the other things I noticed. Another thing that I noticed while I was on this cleanse was that I also did not need deodorant. I know that's strange. Toothpaste, deodorant, these are common necessities, but these are also things that carry a lot of chemicals if they're not natural, right? And so within a week's time, I noticed that I didn't need those things and I didn't have a smell. Now, I still use them, but I noticed that. The other thing I noticed, surprisingly, was that I thought I wasn't going to have any energy, but I went from running just a couple miles a day to running anywhere between 5 to 7 miles a day on just apples. My energy went through the roof. My brain fog cleared up, and my digestive system, I could tell, was kind of doing its own thing, because what I let out looked more like what a baby would let out. It looked brand new. It was very different. And so doing this 10-day apple fast showed me a lot. Now, if you go on YouTube, there's not a lot of people that have done these videos. And if they have, they're showing you their daily, like while they're doing this, and they're not holistic people. So they're not bringing the information together, because I went and I looked and I was like, there's nobody on here that really like knows what they're talking about. They're just kind of shooting the crap and not really giving anybody any real insight. So I was like, okay, when I'm done with mine, I'm going to make a video because people need to know this. So I slept better. That was another thing too. I slept like a rock and I needed less sleep, right? So it helped me plow forward into the things that I needed to get done. I had less fears. I had more confidence. My brain, my mind was clearer. I am so plugged in now. And if you go look across social media, you could probably tell it what has shifted. This 10-day fast shifted me, believe it or not. And so, and so I want to talk a little bit more about what this fast did, but those are just some of the benefits that I immediately saw within like that first day. By the time I rolled around on day 7, and it's apples, I like sweets. I didn't have an issue with it at all. It's the fall. Apples are everywhere. They're plenteous and they're cheap, right? And so in reality, you only need 3 days of an apple fast to truly reset your microbiome of your gut. But since I'm going on specifically going on a healing journey, I needed one that was a little bit longer. Now, initially, I was told to do it for 14 days, but I was like, whoo, that's a long time, Chief. I ain't got that in me. Woo-wee. Apples for 14 days. I mean, if you could do it, God bless you. But on the 10th day, it was getting cooler outside, and I conceded, and I was like, I need some warm something. And when I did come off of it, I just did vegetables, all vegetables. And I did high water-based vegetables. So cucumbers, I did cucumbers, I did lettuce, I did celery, I did tons of vegetables, or I'm still on tons of vegetables. At the time of this recording, which is October the 4th, I'm still on all vegetables. And so I will remain on water-based vegetables until it gets a little bit cooler outside. And then I will transition into the cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, the deep green vegetables like kale, spinach. I will transition into just those greens. And I will limit the amount of fruit, because a lot of times sugar also feeds fibroids. And so, especially, you definitely don't want any processed sugar of any kind. My teas are plain. I don't drink any kind of sugar or anything with tea. I don't typically do that anyway. And so, it is so important for us to be able to understand our bodies and how we can actually heal. So now I'm going to give you guys a few tips about how to actually make sure that you are doing what you need to do for your body. So the first thing you want to do is commit to the process. So you need to decide what your process is going to be. Are you going to fast? For how long? And you need to make sure that that process is in time with your cycle. Now, if you are menopausal or perimenopausal, which for some people that could start in their 30s, if you are, I am not menopausal, I'm not perimenopausal, I'm not any of those things. I still get a full cycle, and I don't have any other clear signs of hormonal imbalance that I see. I don't hot flash, I don't do any of those things. And so for me, it was just a matter of shrinking what's going on inside of me. But whatever your issue is, or if you just want to stay healthy and reset your gut. Now, let me say this too. When I reset my gut, I immediately knew what vegetables my body hated, because I would get indigestion. I would immediately get things that did not feel good. I'd feel nauseous. And so it let me know, okay, you've got to either bring that vegetable or fruit down to moderation, or cut it out of your diet at all, because your body just doesn't like it. So that's the other thing about resetting your biome. It's going to give you so much information about your body, right? So keep that in mind as well. And so one of the things that you also want to do with committing to the process, write it out. Make sure that you know when you're going to start this. You're going to want to start any kind of fast on your first day of your cycle, which is the day that you start bleeding. That's the easiest way to remember that. When you start bleeding, fast. If you're someone who no longer gets a cycle, find a way to make sure that you know when it would have been on, or where your hormones, what's happening with your hormones, or what would be happening if you were on a cycle. So for example, if you are fasting when progesterone is high, then that's when you need to be fasting. If you're fasting when it's low, then that's when you need to be fasting. Or if that's when you were supposed to have your bleed time, that's when, or when your cycle is on, that's when the fasting is supposed to happen. Because your hormones are going to go up and down throughout what would have been your cycle. You're going to want to track this, and I'm not the expert on this, but you're going to want to track it to what's happening with the hormones. And when certain hormones come back into a certain phase, you come off the fast. In my case, I stayed on the fast because it was supposed to be 14 days. So I stayed 3 days after my cycle on the fast. But after that, I could feel my hormones shift. That was another thing. It made me more mindful. And so commit to the process. I could feel my hormones shift, and I came off the fast. And I was like, okay, let me just stop that now. All right. The other thing that I noticed when committing to the process was how quickly my weight dropped. So within about 7 days, I'm sorry, so within about 7 days, within that first week, I dropped probably about 9.7 pounds. Now, I was weighing 162 pounds when I started. I'm 5'4". I was weighing 162 pounds when I started. And so now I'm probably 149 pounds just from being on that for that first 10 days or so. So as I go into being a little bit more raw vegan, and more water-based vegetables, and drinking my water and taking my things, you're going to probably see my face change. You're going to especially going into veganism. And then I will remain vegan and on an anti-inflammatory diet pretty much for the rest of my life, because that's where I want to be. That's how I want to age. That's how I want my aging process to go. And I've always wanted that. And so this is definitely the time for me to do that. And so trust, commit to your process and be clear on what your process is. The next thing you want to do is allow your body to change. I think I got used to being, because I used to weigh 135 to about 140 pounds, right? If you look at my really old pictures, or this little, let me see if I can point to it. These pictures behind me, right? That chick right there, she was probably 132 pounds, right? 132 to 135, right? And so you want to make sure. So I got used to being a little bit thicker. I got used to being or having my curves all filled out. I mean, I've always been a true hourglass, but come on, 130 to 160. And I think the highest I've been is like 168. So I started coming down even before this diagnosis because my body just felt big. So I got to a point where I just feel like, oh, I feel so heavy, right? I can feel the extra weight on me. And so, although it looks great, don't get it twisted. I get a lot of hey girls and looks and oh my goshes and things like that. Look at her body, blah, blah, blah. I get a lot of that, right? And so I think I got used to that. And one of the things I think that I learned throughout this process is that I truly don't need any validation, right? All I need is to be healthy and well and put the things in place that give me longevity. Nothing else matters outside of that. Nothing else matters. I am not one of those people who are in love with thick culture. I love my curves. I've been smaller and had curves. I've been thicker and had curves, right? In my adult life, I've been as high as 210 pounds. So I've been on that weight on, weight off kind of roller coaster thing and kind of settled in the 160s and now back to like 149. And so you're going to see my body shift and change a little bit more. You're going to see that throughout the course of these videos, right? And so one of the things that I realized with this too, with allowing my body to change, was how much lighter I was when I gave up feeling the need to be thick, or feeling the need to be the thick person in the room, or feeling the need to be the hourglass in the room, right? And so, or knowing that people know me for that, right? It felt good to let that go, or it feels good to start letting that go, right? There's a lightness in my spirit, and there's a lightness in my body, and there's a lightness and an ease in like my meditations and my spiritual walk and things like that. And I love that about myself. I love myself even deeper now with how light and airy I feel. And so I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the transition of it all. And I'm doing it all with just ease and flow and giving myself just a whole lot of grace. Now, the other thing I want us to realize is that when we're doing this, we don't owe anybody anything. I know one of the things that kept me from going on this journey was the person that I previously dated. That person's like, I signed up for somebody who's like, got curves for days, can stop a room when she walks in, can wear a dress like you won't believe. And these are the things that their desires, their ego has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with me and what I need for my body. And so you're going to want to make sure that this is the type of thing that you want for you. And so allow your body to change. Our weight should naturally go up in the winter and down in the summer. We should naturally be eating for the seasons to keep us healthy. So if your weight is fluctuating rapidly up and down with big changes, that's not really where you want to be. You want to get to where you can stabilize that. And if you don't know how to do that, go to the video that's called Start Fasting Now. It'll be at the end of this video as well. But go to that video and watch it, because that's how you fast indefinitely on and off to keep your weight where it needs to be, by letting your body process things the way it should. And so the last thing you want to do is you want to journal your journey. You want to make sure you're writing all of this down. I cannot say enough how grateful I am to God for taking me on this journey. And I am so grateful because I am becoming someone different as a result. Okay. I have access to wisdom that I didn't know was available to me. I have the ability to, there's a renewed sense of confidence and a renewed sense of purpose within me. And it had been something I had been praying for a while. And if you are someone who is like, I don't know what to do, I'm still trying to figure out my purpose. I actually talked to somebody just this morning that was that, like, I just took a sabbatical from work because I needed to get in touch with my purpose. A fast will do it for you every time. It will, and if you can fast while eating something, make it apples. You're gonna feel like a horse, but make it apples. But it's important because my dreams came back, and I hadn't been able to actually dream or remember dreams for a long time. And in these dreams, I can literally hear God talking to me. And I wake up, I do a voice memo, I journal these things with my journal on my nightstand, and it's just absolutely amazing. All right, so you want to journal your journey with this as well, okay? And so when you're done with this fast, or if you're looking to do this fast, remember, you can do this for 3 days and get the results that you need. I was just asked to do it as an extended fast because I have follow-up ultrasounds and things like that coming up in the new year. So I'm giving myself 6 months to a year to truly heal my body and bring it to the place that it's supposed to be, in the place that I've been craving ever since I turned 40, right? And I'm 43 now. So ever since I turned 40, I've been craving that. And there's always been a reason that something else was in the way, stopping or blocking me. And now I'm where I need to be on this journey, and I'm grateful for it. So I hope you got some value out of this video. I do hope you try the apple fast. And if you do, please, please, please put it in the comments. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already yet, because I want to make sure that you get even more great content. There's so much more popping through for October, and you want to make sure that you have your notifications turned on for this channel, because October is going to be on fire on this YouTube channel. So have an incredible, incredible, incredible day, beautiful souls. Love and light to you.